Welcome to Bolt London, where over the last 5 weeks we've been taking part in the Basics of Motorcycle Mechanics course. We've covered everything from brakes to tyres to spark plugs. So we're just going to have a quick chat with founder of Bolt and who started the course, Andrew Almond. So Andrew, tell us a bit about how Bolt came about.
Bolt came about in 2013. A lot of my friends were doing things within the motorbike scene where they were making things, and there didn't seem a shop which brought it all together. There was the kind of the mainstream motorcycle shop. So I thought there was room for something different, something that was more relevant to the classic and the custom motorcycle scene that was coming about at the time.
Absolutely. So when the course first started, how many people were taking part?
We did, I think, 13 on the first group. That was one of the best groups we had, actually. They became great friends and actually went to the Himalayas and did a trip over there together afterwards.
Wicked. So you say the course is quite a lot about camaraderie as much as it is fixing your own bikes?
We like to keep everything social. We're not a typical community college and that kind of thing. So, if, people bring beers in and people brought cake in before. And the idea is, you can learn without being in a school type environment. So we want to get away from that. The social aspect, I think, with anything motorcycling, it just breeds itself. People might come from a diverse range of backgrounds, but motorcycling brings them together. They've got something in common. So that camaraderie, I think, just comes with it. Everyone's so enthusiastic and excited to learning. That kind of energy makes the friendships, I guess.
Awesome. And how is the intermediate course going?
The intermediate course is really exciting, actually, because we get really in depth and more involved with the motorcycles. We're actually taking apart clutches, taking apart forks. And I think people are really getting that next stage of mechanics from the course.
Awesome. So after that, maybe an advanced course?
We're looking to do advanced courses, and we also want to do specialist masterclasses. There's a lot of the old boys who are kind of building engines and frames who are now getting to their 70s and 80s. And there's a lot of stuff, that they can pass on, a lot of knowledge, a lot of skills and experience. So I really want to kind of pick out some of these people who are real experts in their field and just do small masterclasses for professional builders and, keen mechanics, that kind of thing, and pass on these kind of real gems of information, I guess.
I am here at Bolt London with Tony Davis, and we've just finished a 5-week Basic of Motorcycle Mechanics course. So we're just going to have a quick chat with Tony. He's going to tell us a bit about his history with teaching and mechanics. So, where did you start?
I started teaching a good 10 to 15 years ago, and what it was, I was teaching in college. I was teaching photography of all things, and they developed a motor vehicle section, and I went in there and built a race bike. Any opportunity to go in there and build my own stuff, and they said, "Do you want to teach motorcycle mechanics?" So it started like that, and I started doing a couple of night classes. Then I wrote a course, and I wrote 3 different stages of the course: basic, maintenance, intermediate, and then it wasn't so much an advance, it was called a workshop where you could bring your bikes and work on them. And then I ended up teaching young people that are sort of not performing at school or sort of falling out of the system or have got big social problems. And that section of teaching was to do with re-engaging them with education, but also teach them off-road riding, motocrossing. And then I came across Andrew about 2 or 3 years ago, and he said, "Do you want to teach some of the custom guys and some of the new wave of people that have bought bikes, Bonnies and BMWs and stuff like that?" So yeah, I jumped at it. Yeah. So, and it all stems from being a young kid really and being around motorbikes. My dad had bikes, and my dad took me to watch some racing when I was quite young. And instead of thinking, this is great, I just thought, this is what I want to do. I want to race. So I started racing when I was 17, and I had to work on my own bikes and get my own bikes prepped for racing. So I kind of learnt that way. My background is an engineer, so I worked as an engineer for many years. So I was more like from the engineering side. The mechanic side was self-taught.
That's wicked. So, obviously at Bolt London, things are done slightly differently. Yeah. How would you say the Basics of Motorcycle Mechanics course differs from college courses you've taught, perhaps?
It's more informal. It's more practical. It's less technical. There's no big sort of handouts and whiteboard and me scribbling lots of diagrams up. It's a little bit hands-on, so I'm often passing objects around and talking about them. And occasionally I draw on their own experiences. It's quite interesting. Some people will come in from different backgrounds and they've done stuff that, that you don't realise they've done, and they can share that with a group of the class. One of the great things about this is the social side. There's a group there who are not shutting up at the moment while we're trying to do this interview, and they're planning a ride out. 5 weeks ago, they didn't know each other. So they're like looking to go on a ride out, and they're looking to keep connected with each other. There's groups of people that have planned all sorts of things. 10 of them went up the Himalayas a few years ago, after doing a course and meeting up with other people. So it's a community-based thing as well. Yeah, it brings people together.
So aside from teaching, what is your favourite subject on the motorcycle to teach?
That's a difficult one, really. I think each week, I say this is the most important thing on a bike, and then by week 5 I'm still saying that. I think brakes. I love brakes. Brakes is one of my specialist areas, because people sort of boast away about brake horsepower and stuff like that, but you can stop a bike so much better than somebody else with good brakes and good setup brakes and good technique. And I've often beat people into corners when racing using brakes. So I'm a person that bigs up the brakes. Yeah.
Bigging up the brakes. So you've actually got an anecdote about teaching brakes, haven't you, Tony?
Yeah, a funny one. Yeah. I think I'll call it "I've been a twat." Yeah. This guy, it was absolutely lovely. He even wrote a letter to the college saying how wonderful the classes were. But there was this time when I carefully explained about putting copper slip to stop brake squeal, to stop back of pad to piston seizure, and I said, you smear a bit of copper slip on them. And he walked up to me with his pads with copper slip all over the friction material, and he looked at me and I looked at him, and you could see the horror on my face, and he just went, "Have I been a twat?" And we had to stay behind and clean them up and get it all off. In fact, I got him to get some new pads in the end. But yeah, but he was a lovely guy, and he just didn't know, and he just went one step ahead with. Yeah, he actually went and put a shock absorber on the week after, forgot to put the bushes in as well. So he was probably one of the few people I couldn't help. He kind of was, yeah. But I fixed that for him as well, so he was quite pleased with that, yeah.
You're his guardian angel.
Well, yeah, and I said, next time you put something on, just let's do it together, yeah.
So Bolt has recently started its intermediate motorcycle mechanics course. So that's new for September, it was. So what do you think of that course as compared to this?
I got really excited about it because I've done this course lots and lots of times, and as you've seen, I still really love doing it. And but it's just a new challenge, so I rewrote a course to fit into the 5-week slot. And like tomorrow, we're doing valve clearances, we're doing fitting pistons and piston rings into cylinders. We're doing lots of engine stuff tomorrow, and I'll probably spend all day dismantling stuff, putting it back together, and working out how to teach, how to deliver it, how to teach it. There's one thing with teaching motorcycle mechanics: you can sit and fix a bike in the dark and fix a bike in the corner of your garage and whatever, but being able to explain it and describe it and carefully get people to hook up and understand how to put this in or take that off or whatever, it's quite difficult sometimes. So last 2 weeks ago we did suspension, and I sat in my garage taking damper fork rod in and out and stripping them down and taking fork seals out and working out how I could teach it. So some extra challenge to it, but yeah, love it. It's good stuff, and getting the resources as well, so things that actually do come apart and things that can come apart in a class. You bring a load of stuff in that's all rusty and corroded and you can't get it apart. You sit there panicking, yeah. So you have to get things that work, yeah. But no, love it, great, yeah. And wouldn't mind doing an advanced course at some stage as well, yeah.
That was going to be my next question. Yeah. So Andrew, who owns Bolt, has mentioned that there might be one on the cards.
I think that's the thing. I've got to write it and I've got to make it, because the thing is, level 3 in the industry standard, which is IMI, there's a lot of diagnostics and a lot of computer-based stuff in there. And as you've probably seen, I'm very practical and not very technical. So whether we do that in a setting using diagnostic kit, or whether we find a different way of doing that, or whether we do it more workshop based, so it's not necessarily advanced, it's more workshop, doing more advanced mechanics rather than an advanced level of mechanics, yeah. But yeah, no, it's just about numbers, getting people through the door really. It was a bit of a slow take up on the intermediate, and we had to wait a little bit for that, but they came through in the end. I'm hoping some of these that we've got now will come back for the intermediate, and it's just keeping the momentum going. We'll probably have a little winter break about December, something like that, December, January, start again in February. So it's getting people out of hibernation, and yeah. But even in the cold, people will ride the bikes. They love coming to these things, you know.
Yeah, judging by the atmosphere in there, it sounds like a lot of people are going to come back for
yeah,
intermediate.
Yeah, and this one was massively oversubscribed. It did have a challenge that there was a lot of people, and I'm a fully trained teacher, and part of my teacher training is to make sure learning occurs in every learner, and that's something like, you know, experts can stand up and talk about their field of knowledge and detail lots of stuff, but you can have people asleep, you can have people looking at their phones, you can have people not receiving that. So I often check, see if each person's learnt that, and that's quite important. That, yeah, and it's difficult with a big group. We stripped a lot of carburetors last week, and like there's bits all over the place, and hands and screwdrivers and jets and needles and slides and stuff. But you know, everybody got it in the end, and that was quite impressive. Yeah. So some of the subjects, when there's a lot of people, it's quite hard to make sure each person, you know, gets every bit of it out of it, and often, you know, review stuff. Start the lesson reviewing last week. Yeah.
Awesome, that's about everything I needed.
Right,
One
great.
other question. What would you say to people who are considering doing a basics or intermediate course? Why should they come along to Bolt?
It's just really enjoyable. It's fun. I kind of make it fun, and I think it's just one of those things. You want to save a little bit of money. You want to learn. There's an whole new wave of people coming into bikes. I often throw out the question, you know, what got you into bikes? And they go, I got a bike. I passed my test a year ago, and they're just really excited about having a bike, and to have that little bit of extra knowledge to look after it, and also save some of the basic service bills, is great. So there's lots of reasons, but I think, look, we can't get rid of them. It's the camaraderie. It's like one big bloody party. You know, they absolutely love it, and yeah, I think just come along, give it a try, and see if it's for you. And I think, you know, I don't think I've had anybody go, this is bloody rubbish, don't want to do this. You know, they just all love it, you know, and yeah, just save some money, come and learn some skills.